Hello children, welcome to another session of Intermediate First Year English. Today we are going to look at a topic from the Prose, Lesson 6, Two Sides of Life, and today's presenter is Mrs. N. Kalyani Reddy, PGT English from Telangana State Model School and Junior College, Chegunta. This particular prose lesson is written by Booker T. Washington. Let's know more about Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington is an American educator, author, orator, and advisor to several presidents of the United States. He founded Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute. He had the habit of delivering practical, straightforward Sunday evening talks to the students and teachers at the Tuskegee University. These talks have been put together in a volume called Character Building. Two Sides of Life is a speech from this popular book. So, dear children, in this speech, Washington he classifies humans into two groups, that is, optimists and pessimists. He further talks about teachers, and then he talks about the students who hold wrong opinion about their teachers. He concludes his speech finally by asking us to explore the most beautiful things that can be drawn out of life. So the author discusses the two sides of life, that is, the bright side and the dark side of life, though many divisions are possible. Like the two sides of life, even people are of two classes. Those who see only the bright side, the others who see only the dark. Let's begin with the opening sentences of Booker T. Washington. Here it is. In thought, in action, I think you will find that you can separate life into two divisions, the dark side and the bright side, the discouraging side and the encouraging side. You will find too that there are two classes of people just as there are two divisions of the subject. Let's take a look at what is the meaning of these opening sentences. While analyzing a number of divisions in human life, he finds two important ones which are significant. They are the dark side of life and the bright side of life. These two are found in thought, in talk, and in action of a person. That is, when you talk to a person, when a person talks, when a person thinks, or when a person does something, you can find out whether the person is talking about or thinking about the darker side of the life or the brighter side of the life. The people who look upon the darker side think about negative side of life. The people who look upon the bright side think about the bright side of life. That is, if you think positively, you will always think about the good things in life. And if you start thinking about the loopholes, drawbacks, or the darker side of life, you will only be ending up thinking about all the bad things or the unhappy things. Washington thinks that we must see both sides. So let me explain to you what is the darker side, or a person who thinks about the darker side of life is called as a pessimist, and the person who thinks about the brighter side of life is called as an optimist. Let's just look at the picture given here. You can see a glass which is filled with water. A person who is an optimist thinks that the glass is not empty, at least it is half full. But a person who is pessimist thinks that, the glass is not completely filled, it is half empty. So that's the difference between the darker side and the brighter side of life. So an optimist thinks about the brighter things or the positive things, and a pessimist thinks about the negative things or the sad part of life. So here Washington also gives us an example of how people react to an overcast morning. Dear children, I think you know what's an overcast morning. The meaning is also given at the end of the slide. You can take a look of it. That is, the sky is completely covered with cloud and there is not much light. That is a gloomy day. So, a pessimist or an optimist, how does he react to an overcast morning? To a person who constantly looks at the dark thing in life, the morning appears gloomy, dull, and the streets full of muddy water. Everything looks disagreeable to him. Whereas, if a person is an optimist, for a person who constantly looks at the bright side of things in life, the morning appears beautiful in all aspects. He speaks of the beauties in the raindrops, of the freshness in the newly bathed flowers, shrubs, and trees. That is, he only looks at the beautiful things in the nature or in the world. So, now let's dig deeper into the same reactions of an optimist and a pessimist to an overcast morning. So, a pessimists, those who look at the darker side, grow cynical and never go an inch forward in life. They're lacking energy and enthusiasm. They lead a lazy and lethargic life. They make their life miserable and others' lives as well. That is, if you're around such a person, even your life will be made miserable. Washington wants us to stay away from such people. So, when we talk about an optimist, the person who cultivates the habit of looking the bright side of life will always see the beautiful and encouraging things in life. Such person will turn out to be the strong individual. The speaker asks us to be in the company of such person. So, finally, from this example, Washington is trying to tell us that it is not wise to go too far in either directions. That is, you should neither be completely an optimist nor completely a pessimist. At times you need to be optimistic and at times you need to be pessimistic because life is an admixture of joys and sorrows. It is wise to dwell upon good things and sorrowful things at times. Then only life runs smoothly and peacefully. Next, Washington advises to teachers. That is, he advises teacher trainees of his university. It is quite natural that teachers sometimes make mistakes while teaching the lesson. Teachers who realize their mistake and admit them are excellent teachers and of fine character. No teacher knows everything about every subject. A good teacher will say frankly and clearly that she cannot answer the question. When the teacher confesses her ignorance, she will be more respected for her honesty and frankness. Honesty always pays dividends. Let me dig deeper into it once again, children. So, when you are teaching, that is when a teacher teaches, at times she may go wrong. So, she should gracefully admit her mistake and apologize, or if she doesn't know anything, then she should gracefully accept that she doesn't know this or that particular topic because that would really reward her and her image would be even more enhanced if she does that rather than just overruling it, saying that it's out of syllabus or it is not in any way concerned with the subject. So, once again, I would like to tell you that when the teacher confesses her ignorance, she will not be let down in the eyes of the students, but she will be more respected for her honesty and frankness. And Washington wants us to do this. Next, he talks about the trainees. He says that trainees must develop frankness and honesty in their teaching. That is, you should be very frank, open, and honest while you're teaching. The concept of education is neither what a person is able to hold in his head nor what a person is able to find. The concept of education is not that you should know everything under the sky. It is humanly impossible. So, the concept of education is not that, you need to know everything related to the subject. And it is not really possible for that. So, education is such a training that will make a student know where to go and get facts. A teacher should be more like a facilitator where she would really help her children to find out where they can find the answers for the topics or the content which she doesn't know. It is not training students to hold all the facts in its head. So, a trainee teacher must know that, teaching is not just training students to hold all the facts in his head, but it is to facilitate a student to know where to find knowledge. Next, the speaker talks about judging the teachers. He addresses the students and says that, they should never judge the teachers. The author finds faults with students who hold wrong opinion about their teachers. Most of the students, at times, they hold a very wrong opinion about their teachers, especially when a teacher says that she doesn't know something. So, here Washington addresses them and says that sometimes students are continuously finding faults with the teachers and criticizing them. So, in a way, we can say that they are only seeing the darker side of the teacher. So, they always dwell upon the weak points of their teachers and criticizing them. They keep criticizing them. So, the author advises such students to get into a positive frame of mind to see the strong and beautiful things in life and work of their teachers. So, which means that, rather than focusing on criticism, students should focus on the better side of the teacher and appreciate the better side of a teacher. So, and he also urges all of the students to cultivate a positive mind. Cultivating the habit of talking positive things in life and work is a sure sign of success in everyone's life. That is, when you start thinking positively, you will start acting positively. And when you start acting positively, the result will also be positive. Therefore, you will succeed in your life. Therefore, it is always right to cultivate a positive mind. By doing so, you will not only influence yourself in the right direction, but you will also influence others that way. That is, you will be influencing even the others around you to think positively and cultivate a positive perspective towards life. It is good to see the strength, not the weakness. It is good to see the happier side more and spread cheer all around. So, when you start seeing the happier side, people around you will really be impressed with you and you will spread smiles all around. So, finally, he ends his speech with a positive note and he asks all of us to aim high. That is, you should always aim for stars. Sky is the limit because the only limit for you will be the sky. Do not be satisfied only when you have put yourself in the atmosphere where you can seize and hold on to the very highest and most beautiful things that can be got out of life. That is, he says that you can only be satisfied or you can only think that you have accomplished your target only when you achieve the highest and the most beautiful things in your life. Otherwise, you should never be satisfied with your life. Go for the best things in life, not the second-hand things. He wants all of you to go with the best things in the life. They should dream big. That is, the youngsters or the students. He is urging them to dream big and work hard to achieve best things in life. That is, he finally appeals or urges the students or the learners in his university to not to be satisfied unless they achieve the highest point in their life. And he also tells them that they should only get the best things in the life and not the second-hand things. He also urges them to dream big so that, they become big in their life. This reminds me of Abdul Kalam's quote, wherein he says, dream, dream, dream. Dreams transform into thoughts and thoughts result in action. Perhaps even Washington was driving his point towards this. That is, when you start dreaming big, then what happens? When your thoughts are bigger, then your aim is bigger. And then your actions will also be bigger that lead to a bigger destiny in your life. So, this is all about the speech, dear children. Now let's talk about what is the main center point in the speech. The speech centers around the human traits, that is, human qualities. So, this speech, as I told you in the beginning of the session, was taken from a book called Character Building. The character is built on certain qualities that a person imbibes. So, this particular speech also talks about the qualities that a person should have. So let's take a look at those qualities. So the qualities are optimistic, that is, a person should have or imbibe optimistic nature. That is, you need to think about the brighter things in life and try to be positive. Then acceptance. You need to accept if you're wrong, and you need to be very frank and honest. So accepting your mistakes and moving forward in life is something which is a wonderful quality. Then seeking positive side in others. This is more or less what we have discussed in the first point, that is trying to be optimistic and seeing good in others, understanding what education is. So don't be under a misconception that education is knowing everything and putting everything in your head. It is not so. Education is knowing and at the same time knowing where to find the content or the matter that you doesn't know. That is knowledge, either imparting knowledge or showing the way where you can really get the source to impart knowledge. That's what he says. Aim for the most beautiful and highest things in life. So, big aspirations. Then spreading joy as far as possible. So, when you're positive, when your thoughts are positive, actions are positive, definitely you will spread smiles and happiness around you. So, dear children, that is all about the speech of Booker T. Washington. Now, here are a few annotations from your textbook which are given here. Dear children, if you see, we have discussed about this in the summary of the speech that we have just discussed. That is, each slide will hold the information that is required for each annotation in this particular slide. That is, in thought, in talk, in action, I think you will find that you can separate life into these two divisions: the dark side and the bright side, the discouraging side and the encouraging side. If you see, children, this is already discussed. So try to read the lesson once again and answer this. So when you're answering this, don't forget to mention about the author and also from the source the speech is taken. That is, mention that, this particular extract is from the book written by Booker T. Washington titled Character Building. Don't forget to mention this point when you are writing about the author. So next, a second annotation is, education is not what a person is able to hold in his head so much as it is what a person is able to find. So when we've discussed what education is, we've stressed on this point. So try to read once again and attempt this annotation. Next, third annotation. They are the people who never go forward. They never suggest a line of activity. They live simply on the negative side of life. So this particular annotation talks about pessimists or the people who only look at the darker side of life. So try to explain the same thing in this particular annotation when you're writing the meaning of it. So next, number 4, do not be satisfied until you have put yourself into the atmosphere where you can seize and hold on to very highest and most beautiful things that can be got out of life. So dear children, this particular thing is the concluding lines of the speech of Booker T. Washington, where he urges us to be more ambitious or to aim high in our life. So I think you can go through the lesson once again and attempt the annotation. Now let's take a look at the questions. So the questions are also more or less discussed in the summary. So if you can give a good reading of the text once again, I'm sure you'll be able to attempt all the questions, or rather answer all the questions. How do the two types of persons react an overcast morning? How does Booker T. Washington advise the teacher trainee to develop frankness and honesty in their teaching? Why does the speaker feel it unfortunate about the students who fail in assessing properly the personality of their teachers? The whole speech is not on the human traits, comment with reference to Booker T. Washington's two sides of life. So I think the fourth question, perhaps you need to write a short summary of the entire speech of Booker T. Washington. So dear children, I think you are clear about the speech. I hope you got a good knowledge about what Booker T. Washington is trying to talk about. I think it's a soulful speech that will help you to build up your character as well. So, here is a small assignment for you, children. Read the lesson and try to answer the questions and the answers and annotations as well. That's all for today, children. Thank you. We shall meet again with another interesting topic.